Good afternoon. Today I'm going to show you how to preserve zucchini without having to can it. I don't really know how to can zucchini. I've never done it before. I'm sure there's a way other than pickling it maybe. But I like to freeze mine, and there is a method that you can use so that you don't turn your zucchini into a big pile of zucchini mush and it doesn't turn into a big block of zucchini that you can't separate. I like it so that if I only want to use a little bit, I can just use a little bit, or I can use a whole bag. But this is a really simple and easy way. And so first you get a pot of water boiling, then you're going to cut up your zucchini. And we're going to do that right now. And I've got quite a bit of zucchini coming on. Right now, I only have about 6 of them, maybe 7, but they're starting to really come on fast. So now is when I need to start getting things preserved as it comes out of the garden. Otherwise, it's going to get on top of me and stuff's going to spoil, and that's just no good. And I like to do these bigger ones when they come out of the garden so big, because I didn't see them until it was too late. And if you cut these up and freeze them while they're not too seedy, I mean, that doesn't really have huge seeds in it. Once they get too seedy, then it's kind of not really worth it. They get really bitter. But if you can get them while they still have small seeds, they're still good, they're still tender. Get a bowl. This one's still, even though it's kind of huge, the seeds are still pretty small. So it's still decent, sweet. If you prefer to have yours in slices rather than in chunks like I have, you can certainly do that. Doesn't really matter. I just like mine cut up this way because I use it a lot in stews and in soups. Dishwasher telling me it's done, which is good because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make some pickles, and I need some clean jars for that. Alright, dishwasher, I hear you. see it sitting on the ground. So it just didn't get enough sunlight and got a little bit too much water, too much moisture on the ground. Probably going to be a ton more this weekend, but that's it for today. I've got a nice pot of water starting to come to a boil. It's kind of getting little bubbles on the bottom, but it has a few more minutes yet. Okay, my water has come to a nice full rolling boil, so I'm going to do it in batches. Going to want to leave them in the boiling water for about 45 seconds. Just lightly blanch them is all. I know you could probably saute them or fire roast them, and that would be good too. This is just a quick and easy way to do it. It mostly keeps them raw and firm. But everything that I've been told is this is the way to keep them from turning to mush in the freezer. And I'm going to let that come back to a boil. Because I want this to blanch quickly. And if I just let it come down to a simmer, then it's going to take longer and it may turn to mush. So we don't want to do that. Okay. As you can see, I'm just doing it in small batches. Just get this whole bowl done, let it cool down completely, and then I'm going to do a kind of a overnight freezing. Maybe not quite overnight. Maybe I'll just put them in or pull them out of the freezer later tonight, but for at least a good few hours you want them to freeze pretty solid. My trusty baking sheet, and I'm going to line that with parchment so it doesn't stick. I know that you can use those silicone mats. I just don't happen to have one. But they work really well too. So as they cool and drain. I'm going to spread them out on the cookie sheet, baking sheet. And spread them out pretty good. You really don't want them sticking together because they'll freeze together. Now, it's not a tragedy, but the less you have sticking together, the better. So that's one good sheet. I love these huge baking sheets. I love these huge baking sheets. I got them at Sam's Club. Packs of 2. They were pretty inexpensive. And I may just get some more this year because I use them a lot. Not just for baking, but for things like this too. They come in handy when you're barbecuing or whatever and you want to take stuff from in the house to outside. They're plenty big enough to carry everything. One more batch after this. And then all of those zucchini will be ready to hit the freezer. As you can see, I'm not really stop watching it. I'm just doing an approximation because the blanching part is not critical. You can get by without it. It just helps to cut down on the chance for mushiness. And you know what? Mushy zucchini is still edible. It's just not as pleasant to eat as non-mushy zucchini. But there's my second tray. Pop them both into the freezer. I'll stack them one on top of the other. And in a few hours, they should be good and frozen. And I will be bagging them up in freezer bags. I've already got my 2 freezer bags already marked and ready to be filled. So that's how you do that. And today's dinner is already cooking away on the stove. It's a pot roast. I just sauteed up some onions in oil until they got nice and brown. Pop the pot roast in the pan and let it brown on both sides. poured in about 4 cups of water, turned it down to a very low temperature, and just let it go. It's perfect on a hot day, hot summer day, and on a day when you're really busy, but you want something that's really good and substantial for dinner, but you don't want to spend a ton of time working on it. Pot roast. I could go easy and just make macaroni or rice to go with it, and a vegetable or a salad, or I could up it a little bit and do potatoes. Just depends on how much time I have, because I still have pickles to make today, so we'll see. So I'll catch you up on the pickles later. Now it's time to pickle the pickles. We'll just make pickles out of cucumbers. So this process is a 2-day process. I know that there's probably easier, faster methods, but this is the one that I really like. You're just gonna, at first, you're gonna quarter up, or smaller if you like, and depending on the size of the spears, you're gonna basically just quarter them up. Put them in a bowl, and then you're gonna combine some vinegar and some water and some salt, and I'll go over that. But you're gonna let these soak overnight. And then we can finish the canning process after they have soaked. I don't have a ton of cucumbers just yet. Now that the hot weather has passed, I'm hoping that my garden starts to really produce.
I'm never wearing clothes again. Let's go. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you filming again? Did
Yes.
the camera get that?
Why are you never wearing clothes again?
Because I just bled through all of my clothes.
Okay, I'm not putting that on a video.
Do it. Oh, those cukes look so good.
No.
Give them to me. Give me.
Stop it.
Give me the cukes.
Say goodbye, Miley.
Will you save me a pickle?
They're not pickles yet.
Make them pickles already.
They'll be pickles in another couple of days. Maybe longer, really. That's Miley. She loves pickles. But here is the all cut up spears. Ooh, that looks really dark. Just lighten that up. There we go. That's the spears. That's how many pickles I'm making this time around. So let's get the vinegar and the water combined. Okay, we're going to be starting off with about a half gallon of cold water. You want it to be good and cold. And then you're going to add 3 tablespoons of kosher salt. And then a good stir. And you want to let it dissolve all of that salt, at least most of it. Now I've got super salty brine that I'm going to soak my cucumber spears in. Pop those in. I could probably have gotten away with half that much brining solution because of how few cucumbers I actually have. But, you know, it gives you a fair idea of how much water to how much salt. Probably twice as many cucumbers as I'm using. But there we've got them soaking in the brine. I'll leave them to soak overnight in the refrigerator covered in plastic. And then tomorrow we'll begin the pickling process. Last Christmas, it's just past Christmas, my husband decided he was going to play a game for Christmas Eve where he used tons and tons and tons and tons of plastic wrap to wrap up prizes in a big ball. And so he requested this enormous box of plastic wrap from Sam's Club. And he used a lot of it, but we still have probably a couple thousand feet. So for the foreseeable future, I will have plastic wrap. The game was a lot of fun. And they had they had to wear a pair of gloves, and they had to try to unroll the plastic wrap ball till they got to a prize. And as soon as they got to a prize, they passed it on. Or was it they had a certain amount of time that they could keep unrolling, and they could get as many prizes as they could fish out using those gloves, which was no easy task. And at first I thought, they're gonna get bored with this, they're not gonna like it. I mean, half of them are grown-ups. But oh boy, it was a big hit. And we'll probably make it a tradition from now on. We'll see. It was a lot of fun. Okay, the next thing I'm working on is the white turnips that I pulled from the garden this week. They're about half the size of what I'm hoping the rest of the turnips get to, but I just thinned these out because they were big enough to pull. And right now, I'm boiling them. I'll get them nice and tender and then cool them off, cut them up, put them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer, good to go. Well, here we are the next morning with the zucchini that I froze, zucchini I blanched and froze. And as you can see, it's maintained its beautiful green color for the green zucchini. The yellow zucchini I've combined with one of my variegated zucchinis. Also kept its color, and they're not stuck together. So I can take them out in a handful, use the whole bag if I want, and I usually do. That's why I have such big bags. You can do this in quart-size freezer bags. You can do it in sandwich size. It depends on how much zucchini you use at a time and how small of a packaging you're going to want to deal with. I've got 4 of these. I could have done 8 of them for half the size, and that was just out of the zucchini that I did yesterday. So the process works.